Hey everybody, it is Rick. We're here with week 2 reviews from January 2022. 6 movies to talk about, a couple on physical media, also a DVD that I rented from Redbox, which I haven't done in a very long time, a movie we saw in theaters, a movie from HBO Max that's an older catalog movie that I did not own, and a movie on Hulu. Let's dive right in. The first thing we watched was Spencer. Spencer is a 2021 film starring Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana. This movie's been on my radar for quite a while, and they actually had this on Redbox before it came out on physical to buy. I was actually going to blind buy the movie, but viewer Arthur from Instagram hit me up and he said I have a free Redbox rental. We looked and saw what Redbox had. They had Spencer available, so even though it was on DVD, we decided to grab it. So Spencer is being advertised as like a psychological thriller, but it's about Princess Diana, which I was intrigued about. Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana was mind-blowing. I really forgot I was watching Kristen Stewart act. It really felt, especially if you're familiar with what a younger Diana looked like, she played Princess Diana so very well, in my opinion. And like I said, I kind of got lost watching it, that she was this character instead of being Kristen Stewart playing a character. So that was awesome because I got lost in it, thinking it was like almost a documentary about Princess Diana, or watching footage of her. The movie was done in a way, like I said, it can be very disorienting and unsettling, but they did that to ramp up. Like, she had this paranoia that she was constantly being watched. Everybody was studying her every move. It was interesting. However, the movie tends to meander a bit longer in portions than it really needed to. However, once again, and there's multiple movies that come to my mind. Stuff like The Father, which I talked about last week, House of Gucci, where Lady Gaga gives an excellent performance, a movie we just watched recently that we'll talk about next week, I'm not going to spoil that, where there's a lead performance that is absolutely mind-blowing, but the story just doesn't, or the, I don't want to say the plot, the story or the writing just doesn't fully grab me. And this was another performance, like, this is a masterclass on acting. Like, she should definitely be nominated for Best Actress. She should probably win Best Actress. She was so good in the role. But the story just, I didn't love it. But it was interesting enough. I gave Spencer 3 out of 5. Definitely worth a watch. For me, it's a one-time viewing. I'm not going to go seek this out on physical media to buy. Next up, this was way out of my comfort zone. This was sent over to me by the folks at Warner Brothers, and that is Dune Part 1, although they leave that out of all the advertising of the artwork. When the movie starts, the first thing that comes up on the screen is Dune Part 1. They definitely did not advertise it as that. They just advertised it as Dune. Movie has a 2.5-hour runtime, so I wasn't expecting that and it only to be one part of the story. Sci-fi epics, definitely outside of my comfort zone. But I was intrigued because of the cast in this film. Timothée Chalamet, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Zendaya, who's in the movie for like 7 minutes. Was intrigued to watch this one. First off, the 4K looks amazing. I know I did a review on the 4K quality of this and talked about the bonus features and whatnot. The 4K looks beautiful, first and foremost. Stepped out of my comfort zone, directed by Denis Villeneuve, who did Arrival, which I absolutely loved. And this movie starts out so slow. I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to get through the movie. Starts out very slow. However, the second and third acts, I was really interested and curious to see where it was going. The movie keeps ramping up, and then it ends because it is a part 1, which was a bit frustrating for me. It does a great job at building up this world with all these different portions of the world. It does a lot of character building very well, which was interesting. But like I said, it was a bit frustrating to see all this stuff, and then as it's ramping up, it ends. But I gave Dune 3.5 out of 5. Definitely curious to see part 2 and where they go with the universe. Wasn't able to watch this one on HBO Max, so I was glad my first watch of it was on 4K, as it looks absolutely stunning on 4K. So the next thing we watched was on HBO Max. It is an older movie that from watching Tick Tick Boom and then watching Camp, which I talked about last week, really wanted to prioritize watching this, and it is the film Rent, which I think came out around 05 or 06. So Jonathan Larson, who Tick Tick Boom was all about, and he was the person who wrote Rent, the Broadway musical. My girlfriend had recommended it. We checked this out, so we watched it. Was very familiar with the song Seasons of Love. Outside of that, was not familiar with any of the other music at all. This takes place the end of 1989 through 1990, the height of the AIDS pandemic, or epidemic, or I put epidemic. It's about a group of friends who are living through it. Multiple characters have AIDS. This movie pulls at the heartstrings. There's lots of fantastic music in this movie. Lots of great performances. A song in the cafe was really fun. I believe that's my girlfriend Bridget's favorite part of the movie. I love Seasons of Love. I think it's a great, catchy song. I think Mark and Tom Collins were my two favorite characters in the film. I think Roger, personally for me, was the weak point of the movie. His character was not a huge fan of that. But personally, I like Tick Tick Boom a little better than this, but I still enjoyed this movie quite a bit. Was definitely a movie I'm glad I watched. I'd give it Rent a 3.5 out of 5. I need to take a quick drink of water. I've been talking for like 2.5 hours, so. And this is my last video I'm recording for sure. The voice is starting to go. 3 more movies to talk about. Next up, if you guys watched my favorites of 2021 video, this was one I mentioned in my honorable mentions, and that is the documentary Clerk, which is all about Kevin Smith, directed by Malcolm Ingram. Kevin Smith is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, so this movie is pretty much a love letter to Kevin Smith. It is his career from a kid all the way through Jay and Silent Bob reboot, so pretty much everything the man has done is talked about in this movie. Tons of interviews from people in Kevin's life, and even people who aren't directly involved with Kevin, like Richard Linklater, who directed Slacker, which was the film that got Kevin Smith want to do filmmaking, which really makes me want to watch Slacker. I own it on Criterion because Kevin Smith said it was the movie that inspired him, so I want to see it. Stan Lee did an interview right before he passed away. Jason Reitman. And these are all people. First off, if you're a fan of Impractical Jokers and Brian Quinn, the story of how Brian Quinn is tied to Kevin Smith, I knew nothing about, is awesome. So if you're a fan of Quinn and Q, as he's known on Impractical Jokers, check this out to see the tie that Brian Quinn has to Kevin Smith. Jason Reitman, who's Ivan Reitman's son, directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, is inspired by Kevin Smith, and he talks about it. And yeah, I mean, then there's a ton of people who he's worked with, plus his wife and daughter, but all these people he's worked with throughout his career. I love the way it was done, how it went through his career and touched on different aspects of it, how some of his movies flopped, how some of the movies were tougher for him to make. When he did Zack and Miri, how Seth Rogen really influenced him to start smoking marijuana more regularly than he did before, getting really big into it. Kevin Smith gets really emotional, which is, I don't want to knock on Kevin Smith. He's a very emotional person, which, I mean, I am too. But he wears his heart on the sleeve through this movie. He gets emotional for some of it. His mom's in the movie. Talks about the relationship with his dad and how his dad helped him discover his love of film. I love the movie. Kevin Smith is a filmmaker who genuinely appreciates his fans, and it really shows. And this is a love letter to Kevin Smith. And if you're a fan of his, check this out. I grabbed this on Amazon for like $12.99. It's also in Hamilton Book if you're placing an order on there for a similar price. Check this out. Put out by MVD. I highly recommend Clerk. Rumor is this is coming out on Blu-ray. If that's the case, I will definitely upgrade it because I own most of what Kevin Smith has been involved with are done on Blu-ray, that's available on Blu-ray. I will upgrade this to Blu-ray in a heartbeat because I enjoyed the movie that much. So Clerk, 4 out of 5 if I didn't mention that. Maybe I did. The next thing we watched was in theaters, and our first theatrical experience in 2022, and that's a lie, because I talked about Licorice Pizza last time, which was a 2021 movie. The first 2022 movie that we watched that was in theaters. So this was the first 2022 released film, and that is Scream 2022. I will not refer to this as Scream 5 because that's not what it's called. It is called Scream, and it was released in 2022. This movie was a blast. It is amazing that now on the 5th film in a franchise entitled Scream, that the slasher genre, a lot of these movies get very tired, and just by the 3rd or 4th, they become uninteresting. However, this movie really is a ton of fun. There's so much self-referential and meta humor. There's lots of references to elevated horror, elevated horror. Lots of love for Jordan Peele in this film. They also mention stuff like Hereditary and The Babadook and other modern horror movies. It Follows gets talked about, and that stuff is a lot of fun. Some people are going to get hurt by that because they feel like it's an attack on elevated horror. I don't believe that. I just think that's what's popular at the moment. It has its finger on the pulse of current horror, which I appreciate, and I love that they involve that. My favorite character in the movie, 100%, is Mindy Meeks Martin. One of those names might sound familiar as part of the last name. I'm not going to get into spoilers with how they're tied to previous characters. And she is played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. And man, her character is so much fun. I also love that character's house. There's lots of physical media there because of the relation to a character from a previous movie in the franchise. It's definitely something that character preached in and enjoyed. So I love the nods to physical media in the film, especially with that character. One of the reasons why I love that character so much. So that's really cool. Ties to all 4 Scream movies previous to it. So they didn't erase a movie. There's little love notes throughout the film to Wes Craven, who passed away between Scream 4 and Scream 2022. There's a street named Elm Street. There's other things in the movie. Some are more obvious than others. And man, if you enjoy the Scream movies, check out Scream 2022. I already pre-ordered the 4K Steelbook. Excited to revisit this. This was a very well done horror film, especially when I think a lot of more modern horror movies, especially slashers, aren't very well done. This one nails it. I gave Scream 2022 a 4 out of 5. Check Scream out. It is a fun time for sure. And the last movie I watched this week is a movie that was on Hulu. I believe a 2020 film, if I'm not mistaken. It is a film called The Day Shall Come. This movie looked very quirky when I saw the trailers for it, but it features some people I'm a fan of. Anna Kendrick, Danielle Brooks, who was in Orange is the New Black, comedian Jim Gaffigan. Like I said, it looked quirky. I was curious to check it out. I was able to watch it on streaming. Basically, it's about a leader of a small religious commune in Miami who, it's really weird. The movie's really weird. And they're basically offered some money to try and save his family, his commune. They have a rule with no firearms, but the plan to get the money involves firearms, and the FBI is manipulating the whole plan because they're trying to make this commune seem like an extremist group, and they're not really extremists at all. And it becomes just really messy and weird. I got vibes of Sorry to Bother You in certain parts of the movie. That movie's a lot more crazy. Sorry to Bother You is bananas crazy compared to this. The lead character dreams about a revolution, and the movie just didn't do it for me. I was disinterested through a lot of it. It was only an hour and a half. I gave it The Day Shall Come a 1.5 out of 5. I don't really have a ton to say about it. Just not one I'd recommend checking out. That is it, guys. That is everything I watched the second week of January 2022. I'm done recording. That is a wrap. I've recorded so much new content. Tons of stuff coming to the channel, or probably a lot of it has already dropped on the channel. Before I recorded this and last week's review video, I recorded all 4 of my 2021 wrap-up videos. So I've been talking for like 2.5 hours, pretty much. The voice is starting to go. I'm done speaking. Time to relax on this Sunday. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Check out the description box down below for links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies that I watch. My Blu-ray.com profile, Amazon wishlist, eBay store can all be found down below. That is it, guys. So thank you for watching. As always, until next time, who's down to movie?